With the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice of this meeting was provided to the Daily Record and to the Star Ledger of Morris County, has been delivered to the Township Clerk, and has been posted on the bulletin board of the Board of Education office and at each of the school buildings in the district. Roll call, please.
Mr. Capello,
Here.
Mrs. Wagner,
Here.
Mr. Cass,
Here.
Mr. Kim,
Here.
Dr. Aruna Jatasan,
Here.
Dr. Moore,
Here.
Mr. Anderson.
Here. We do not have a need for executive session, so we'll move to the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. All right, well, welcome and thank you everyone for coming. This is the largest audience we have had in years, literally. So thank you very much for coming. There's some really exciting presentations and awards tonight. So without any further ado, I am going to turn it over to Dr. Forte. Are you going to take for the Valley View? We'll start with the girls soccer championship.
I'm going to call up Mr. Englishman, our vice principal and athletic director at Valley View. That's on well.
Good evening. Before we begin, I'd like to thank the Board of Education, Dr. Forte, Dr. Cullis, for their continued support of Valley View Athletics. The 2021 school year was very successful in terms of our athletics program. After 2+ years of shortened, canceled, or redesigned sports programs, this year was marked by a return to a full athletic schedule, including both intramural and interscholastic competition. Additionally, this was the first season in which we made use of the newly renovated A.R. Spinola athletic fields, which are now some of the finest middle school athletic fields in the area. This year, Valley View offered our students the opportunity to participate in intramural soccer and volleyball, and we hosted a club volleyball tournament. Additionally, we fielded varsity teams in boys and girls soccer, cross country, cheerleading, boys and girls basketball, wrestling, softball, and baseball. All told, approximately 200 students participated in athletics. The boys and girls basketball teams, as well as the softball team, all advanced to the tournament finals. A cross-country runner placed in the top 5 of the championship race, and the wrestling team had 3 students earn second-place finishes in the county championships. However, the greatest achievement this past season belongs to both the soccer teams. Both teams won the Greater Morris County Group 3 championship. The boys finished the season with a 9, 2, and 3 record, outscoring their opponents 49-18. The girls completed the 2021 campaign by scoring 60 goals and allowing only 8. They finished with a final record of 16-1. Both teams represented our community well, and we are very proud of their accomplishments. At this time, I'd like to introduce the coaches. For the boys, Mr. Sean Plum, and for the girls, Mr. Bob King.
I don't know what, Bob will probably say the same thing. It wasn't us. I want to say something first, though. Go ahead.
Mr. Englishman said that we were 16-1. We were actually 17-1.
We really got to talk about that one?
Because we played the boys at our end of the year party and we beat them too. You guys played us tough. I got to give that to you, We didn't have too many close games, so thank you,
Yeah, we had trouble with those PKs. But seriously, for the boys' side especially, it was a pleasure to coach this team. They worked really hard. We talked about it from day one that was our goal, was winning the championship, and they just did not let that come. They made sure that was going to happen. So very proud of them. Worked really hard. sometimes so hard I had to slow them down a little bit in practice every once in a while just so they didn't hurt each other, you know. But no, they worked really hard. I was really proud of them, and it was a great season. So they should be very proud of themselves.
And as for the girls, I don't know if you can tell by our record, but this is a very special group. The thing that I think about most when it comes to them is their dedication, all right? Because every single day we'll have practice, you know, probably Tuesday through Thursday we'd have practice, or Tuesday through Friday, practice or a game. I would leave that game or practice, you know, probably around 5, 6 o'clock, go pick up my daughter, and then go to either Zeke or Morris Catholic and just sit and watch her practice. Well, every single time I got there, I'm tired at this point. Every single time I got there, these girls are out there practicing as well, you know. So their dedication was excellent. They're a great group to coach, and their success is, you know, impressive, definitely. What? Yeah.
All right, boys.
All right.
Girls.
You want to do the girls first?
Do the girls first. Girls first.
There's that dedication. You want me to announce their names? All right.
Just line up here so we can get a picture. Facing out.
Come on, girls.
Coach is just gonna say your name.
I don't want Aaron to
She's our communications Are you gonna do it for the whole group? There's like 3 things.
All right. We do have a few that aren't here. I know we have a few that are currently at practice. So I'm just going to read names off the roster. If I say your name, girls, if you just raise your hand. Oh, we all have nicknames too, so I'm going to say them as well. Michaela Moneymace Anderson. Juliana Jammaster Critchley. Terry the Croatian Sensation Sango. Tatiana the Pesky Squirrel Sewell. Tessa Shulis Simone. Daniela D-Mac McNally. Nitro Nora Shimon. Erin Chainsaw Ladati. Liftoff Lucia Nash. Maria Zoomed Zoomis. Rihanna Rattlesnake McNally. Stone Cold Sophia Arias Duvall. Moonwalk Maggie Kresnomowitz. Jillian Stumbles Pullman. Nutmeg Megan Ferrand. Yo Gabs Gabby Belisi. Emma the Disser Derman. Warrior Wendy Graziani. And Too Cool Kayla Burrell.
All right, boys, why don't you come on up?
All right. Well, thank you. That was exciting. That was one of our first times that we've been able to bring students back in person for congratulations. So very exciting. And not right behind that is probably one of my most exciting times of the year. Presentation of our 2022 Denville Public Schools Denville Education Foundation Persons of the Year Awards. These were something that we brought about. We have incredible staff, incredible students, and an incredible community here in Denville. And we felt it was important that we called out some people who really supported our schools in special ways. So without any further ado, I'll turn it over to Dr. Forte.
That was great having the kids here. Great to see a packed house. We haven't had that in a while, like Mr. Anderson said. So this is our 5th year doing the Persons of the Year Award. We basically have a pretty loose criteria. It's just people, there's 3 categories: a student, staff member, and a community member who have gone above and beyond for the students of Denville pre-K 8 schools. That's the only criteria, that you had to have gone above and beyond what you normally do in your current role for our students. And it's nice that we're having a 5th year. Last year we had a big showing too for this, so we're gonna move on to the presentation. I'm gonna call up Mr. Barnish, if you wouldn't mind coming up. Mr. Barnish is the president of the Education Foundation of Denville. I'm sorry, I know you changed it. Denville Education Foundation. I always think of it as Foundation of Denville, but Denville Education Foundation. And he's going to present the award. These awards are sponsored by our Foundation of Denville, and they're also sponsored by the combined PTAs of our schools. Each winner receives a plaque and $200 in gift cards to either local businesses or different things. So we'll have Mr. Barnish discuss the Community Member of the Year.
Thank you, Dr. Forte. For those of you who don't know, my name is Jeff Barnish. I am the president of the formerly known as Foundation of Denville, now it's known as the Denville Education Foundation. Just a brief history, well, very brief, and it's a good segue into the winner of this year's Community Member of the Year. It was in not this boardroom where the board used to meet in 2008. Where was the board meeting at that time? So, and feel free to, someone can yell out and correct me if I have any of these facts wrong, because I think it's important that we all understand to truly grasp the task that was at hand and what was done because of it. The budget did not pass, and so some concerned community members, parents of children, collaborated, got together, and they decided they needed to do something about it. So what they did was they took the steps, and it was complicated. There was multiple steps. It took a lot of time, a lot of meeting, a lot of organization, and they put together a foundation, which was basically a way of raising money for our school to come up with a shortfall from the budget. So the foundation is sort of based on the fact that, you know, we enhance the education experience for our kids. And it was, I wish those kids were still here, just because they've all been beneficiaries of the close to $500,000 that the foundation has raised in the last 14 years. And, you know, listen, I got roped into it. I mean, I happily stepped up when the need was around to be involved, and it's been very fulfilling. I had huge shoes to fill, and you know, there's a lot that goes into it. There's engaging the community. There's engaging the administration and the faculty to find out what are the needs out there, and the Community Member of the Year, Judy Ingram, did a great job in doing that. And Victor, her husband Victor, they're really they started the foundation. Sorry, Victor, for not, but you know, Judy, I was much involved with Judy. So, you know, from the bottom of my heart, and I know that tons of students and parents for for starting this foundation, all the good it's done. We really appreciate it, and we'd like to present this award to you this year.
She's getting $200 trips to Sergio's too.
Perfect. Go ahead.
We'd like to present the award and a $200 gift card to Sergio's to the Ingrams.
Thank you. I don't know what to say. I'm usually not speechless, but I am today. Well, one of the board members that started with me is actually here tonight, and that's John Paragian, who challenged me every step of the way, but also was a great mentor to me and my husband when we started this endeavor. And I'm just happy that it's still going on because it's such a beneficial organization towards the kids. And, you know, we always said it's all about the kids, and I still believe that and still support the foundation 100%. So thank you very much for this. I'm truly honored. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to call up the PTA for the next one, but I'm going to start off with the staff. So this is for the staff member of the year. Again, this goes to someone who has gone above and beyond for our students. And this person has gone above and beyond for not just K-8 students, but for the town. This is a fixture in the town. She means more to the town than people realize, because some of the environmental initiatives she put forward are tremendous. Like I said this before, like I'm at home, I can't even throw out a plastic bag or anything anymore. Like I hear her voice. I'm about to ripple it up and crumble it up. Even one of my kids or my wife, I'm like, what are you doing? It goes in that thing. Lydia said it goes in there. So Lydia Stiles is a middle school science teacher. She was awarded the Environmental Educator of the Year 2 years ago, I believe. And she was voted unanimously as the staff member of the year. And unfortunately, well, fortunately too, it's bittersweet. It's a great opportunity for her. It couldn't be better. But her family is going to relocate up into Maine, into an amazing part of the country, of the state. As a matter of fact, when she was telling me where it was, I don't know Maine that well. I was on Google Maps saying, wow, this looks pretty cool. You see waves crashing against rocks. It was really an amazing spot. So she has a great opportunity to go up there for her family. We're going to miss her. When the superintendent of the school district she's going to move on to called me, or the principal, I said, probably the best thing I can say about her is she's done things here that will last for 10 years without her here. So it's amazing the things she's done. I know she knows how I feel about her because she had my son too, twice. And I know her as the superintendent and also as a father, which is a weird chance to do that. But I'd like to call up Lydia Stiles, and Mr. Anderson will give the award. And Mrs. Stiles is getting the award and a $200 TD bank card, and that was because she's moving, and I have no idea what you would get somebody that lives in Maine. Maybe bear repellent or something, but I didn't know what to do. So we got a TD bank card.
Thank you so much. And I usually don't do a great job with the thanks and appreciation shared both ways. So this is kind of my big shot to say thank you. And I probably would just run around and like hug everybody as I'm saying thanks. So to Sandy, Dr. Forte, the entire board, my boss in the back, Seth, John, you can't be a fantastic staff person without having fantastic administration and people to support you. So doesn't mean everybody says yes all the time, right, Seth? But it does mean it happens often enough that it keeps the motivation going and lets things really work. So thank you so much for this. This genuinely, truly means a lot. I really appreciate it.
You want to call your family up for the picture? Seth too? And John? Come on up. Get a picture.
I'll have moments for pictures. So
Yeah.
he's not some stranger.
Yeah, no, I figured. I never met him before. Come on up, get a picture. Thank you. Susan, would you mind getting a picture too? Thanks. What's your signature? Where's Mike? There you go. Come on. You got to take the knee though. Down in front.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.
Congratulations. Lydia. Judy, you want to do the same? Want to take a picture up here with your husband too? Come on up. And Jeff too. And Mike again. And John? John Parisian.
Oh, yes, you are. Where's Mike?
Mike's coming up. Come on, John.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for all the help with this. Okay, could I get the PTA representative up here to give out the last award? Anybody else? Just you. Okay. Oh, yeah, come on up. You give him an award. You give it to her. Okay, our last but definitely not least award for the year goes to our student of the year. This was really fun for me because I got to go tell her that she was winning the award. It was definitely I'll be honest with you, it was the highlight of the last few years, especially with all the craziness that's been going on. But it felt so good to just interact with the kids again and see like a smiley face. All too often, and especially in my role, I deal with all the problems that come up. So the positive stuff like this just made my year. This student was nominated by a few people. It's a Lakeview student, a fifth grader. I went to give the award and I said a little bit about it. I knew who she was, so I was looking at her eyes while I was explaining who the award was going to. And I said, well, this person set up an anti-littering campaign. And she placed these signs around because she wanted to make some change at Lakeview. She wanted to make sure that people were throwing away their trash. And I could see her eyes and she's looking around like, are they talking about me? And I see her looking around. So then when I announce her, the first thing out of her mouth, I see Miss Sardinopoli shaking her head was, oh, I have to give the credit to these three other people. Like that was it was amazing to watch that. Somebody so humble that wanted to just give the honor to somebody else right away. Then I got the chance to call her mom and tell her mom that she was the award winner, and just all super positive stuff. So we have our PTA people up here to give the award, to present the award, and this award goes to Amanda Lascaro from Lakeview. Come on up. Okay. I talked to your mom about this. So this is what we got you. You have a $50 gift card to Denville Dairy. So that's the unhealthy stuff. And then we got you $50 to Pliable. We know everybody likes that. And then I got you art class by Mary Shadbolt, $100 gift card to that. So you can pick whatever you want from her store and go Do some art. Your mom said you're really big on art. It's like your favorite thing. That's why the signs were so nice, right? Good job. Do you want to say anything? Yeah, good.
So like Dr. Forte said, I want to give thanks to my friends who actually helped me make this possible. My friends Juliana Hall and, oh my gosh, and Bridget Eastman, and there were a few other people involved. And then I also want to thank my teachers, Ms. Delargy and Ms. Biazzi. Who have really just been amazing, and thank you. I feel like so blessed. I have no other way of saying this. Thank you all.
So this goes on the wall in the board office. It'll be there forever. Okay, at least 2 more years because we have 2 more spots, but we'll have to get another one. But now it's on there. Was I right when I said first? Like you could tell by talking to her after she said her little speech, right? That made my year. You could see how that happened. So we could call up her parents, her teacher, principals. Come on up. We'll get a picture. And Mr. Anderson.
Wow, what an exciting and night to congratulate several people in our community. These are not easy awards to give out in Denville because there are so many qualified people that would qualify for any of these awards. So congratulations to our 3 awardees. Well deserved. Thank you to the Denville Education Foundation. Thank you to the combined PTAs who supported it. And thank you to the committee led by Dr. Forte who evaluated the awardees that were presented and made their decision. So thank you very much to everybody and congratulations. Once again, I'm sure, go ahead, Steve. Yeah, absolutely. And then following this picture, if you'd like to leave, you certainly can. I'm sure, Amanda, you have to get ready for school tomorrow, so. Congratulations. And like I said, if anybody would like to leave, you can. If you'd like to stick around, we have one more presentation tonight from our communications consultant, Susan Marinello. And then we're going to move on with our agenda after that. So busy meeting.
Is it on? Is it on? Yeah.
For any of the board members, the presentation is obviously up on the screen here as well as here. Dr. Forte also printed out some copies, so if you'd like it, I can grab them for you. You can leave it open. All right. Well, Susan, the floor is yours. Thank you for coming and thank you for the work you've done so far. We're excited to hear about it.
Thank you. We can go to the next slide. I just want to say thank you so much for having me here this evening. It's really exciting to see so many students in a room, particularly after the last 2 years, but they really, those statistics, it's why I love education. It's why we love working in school districts, and I really do appreciate being here tonight. So thank you. I wanted to just start a little bit, give you a little bit of information about who I am. And I'm Susan Conover Marinello. I've been in public relations and marketing and brand awareness and fundraising since 1980. And my intensive work with school public relations and communications began in 2014. I was asked to create a position in Montville Township Public Schools. And it's so fulfilling and so rewarding. And one of the reasons for that is because if you don't have strong communications, then people start to fill in with negative things. And they were feeling that in that community, and they knew that I had done a lot of work. My work in the schools with public relations began actually in the 1990s. I was asked by the Morris County Park Commission to create a brochure, and it was to save Turkey Mountain. And I said, sure, I can make a brochure, but that's not what you need. What you need is education. And so I created a program called the Turkey Mountain Square Yard Sale with a number of other people. And we had lots of different elements. We had all kinds of hikes up the mountain and all kinds of things that anybody could come and do. But we also had an educational component where the students in the area around that park, and Turkey Mountain is part of the Pyramid Mountain Park, so many of you probably hike there. And we did wildlife, what the wildlife is there. We did the importance of that area on the watershed, and we also talked with students about how important open space is for physical and mental health. So that was way back in the 90s. And then I was asked around the year 2000 to create a brochure for Montville Township because they had a sole source aquifer, one source of water. And they wanted a brochure to tell people to conserve because they were running out of water. And I said, sure, we can make a brochure, but that's not what you need. So we created the Every Drop Counts program, which won national awards and was in that particular town for about 8 years, but also went across the state of New Jersey. And in Montville Township, it reduced water usage by 16 million gallons a year, despite a 6% increase in population. So education works. And I still meet students who were in kindergarten in those days who come out and tell me, I think of you whenever I brush my teeth. So it does matter. So that's how I got into this particular niche. And in terms of my logo, I just want to let you know, Place at the Table Productions, communications is about relationships, and relationships to me is having a conversation. And I like to sit at the table with people and just talk. So all of your stakeholders, all of the students, all of the parents, all of the community at large, they are the people that we need to have a relationship with, and communications is the way you develop that. So in November, Dr. Forte called me and he said, could you come and do a communications audit? And I'd heard a lot about Dr. Forte, actually, and I knew a lot about Denville because I had some nieces and nephews who grew up here, and it's an exciting place to be. So I was really thrilled for the phone call. And initially, we talked about what his focus was for that audit. And we decided to start with daily, weekly, and regularly scheduled communications tools, the tools that you use on a regular basis. And we wanted to evaluate the opportunities that elevate and consistently represent the mission, the motto, and the brand of the district, both in messaging and logo, while effectively communicating with all your stakeholders. So in other words, You talk about educate, empower, excel. How do we put that out there with every single thing that we do? And we also wanted to determine how the stakeholders respond to those tools and assess what's working and identify areas where we can improve. So that's what we began in January. And that initial review has been completed. And that's why I'm here today, to talk a little bit about how we did that and what we have discovered so far. So the daily, weekly, and ongoing communication tools that we measured, we looked at them for analytics using the data. We looked at them for best practices in terms of content, messaging, format, consistency, and ease of use. Can a person find the information that you're trying to communicate? And for me, that's all. Communications is all marketing. This is your brand. You want to tell the community at large what it is you're doing and elevate that message with everything you do. One of the things I didn't mention earlier is that I grew up in a family business. So from the time I was about 5 years old, I realized that every encounter you have with the community is an opportunity to put your message out there and basically promote your brand. I learned it at a very early age, but it is true that everybody who works in the district and everyone who has an interaction with each other and the students and the community at large has an opportunity to promote that educate, empower, and excel mission. So the tools that we looked at, those daily, weekly, and regularly scheduled tools for content, messaging, format, consistency, and ease of use are the district website, in particular, the landing page for the district, as well as the landing page for each of the schools, the Friday folders, the superintendent's scheduled communications, and at the time that we were doing this, the COVID updates were a regular part of that, and district blast emails, and of course, the social media that you use, the YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook feeds. And we also, in terms of looking at those, it was my experience, things that I've done, best practices, how you approach those kinds of things, whether each of those platforms was using the mission and the brand as part of their presentation. And then we looked at how effective they were being. And that came from measuring the data. And I put all of this on a rubric, but basically with the data, we looked at how many clicks were recorded at various parts of the website, how many people used the Friday folders, how many clicks through on the links provided in the superintendent's scheduled communication, and again for the email blasts, and of course what the engagement analysis is on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And what we learned is that this district has a very strong commitment to clear communication, which is so exciting for me because I'm all about communication. I really love it. And it's fun to work with people who really love it too. And I have to say that Dr. Forte and Kim Novak and Cindy Costanza, they are really dedicated to getting the message out there clearly, efficiently, and in the best possible way to help your stakeholders, everybody in the community, understand that we really care. We really want to give them information so they understand. That's really all anybody wants, is to know that they can easily get information and understand what's happening. And I think it's important to think about what that means, because the other thing that we did find is that there are some places where we can improve. There are some places where consistency in messaging was not as strong as it could have been. The format was a little blurred. The branding was maybe dropped off here or there, and the content wasn't quite as strong. And sometimes the ease of use, particularly on a website, which happens in a lot of districts, was not intuitive. And that's hard. In a district, that's hard. And we're going to talk more about why that is later, because websites are tough. But overall, things were strong, and we could identify very specific places to fix those or make improvements in that. And it's important because day-to-day communications, we know that's important. We know in the last 2 years, day-to-day communications have become elevated. And we know too that if we build a really strong foundation on day-to-day communications, then on the day when you have something extraordinary, like the power goes out while you're in testing, or a bus has a flat tire, if we built the foundation, then people can trust in those moments of extraordinary times where that they have some anxiety, but this can help to alleviate their anxiety. So our next goal was to use those branding formats, ease of use, messaging, content, and apply it where we saw fit where we saw, some moments of improvement in Friday folders and all the other platforms and tools that we talked about. And again, the website, that's an ongoing thing. We've identified some things we can fix. We've made some changes, but websites for districts are hard because there's so much that has to happen. There's so much that has to be on that website. And also because there's a lot of people who work on a website, and because technology changes every 6 minutes. So all of those things come together. But again, a really strong team of people who want to create the protocols, fit the best practices into the platform that you have, and find ways to keep moving that forward and moving the communication progression. So on this slide, here's one of the things that we did develop a protocol. So the picture on the left was the superintendent's message when we started. And it's very clear. If you read the words, it's extremely clear. However, people don't tend to read. They really have a hard time with it, and they lose focus very quickly. So we made some changes, and the picture on the right gave us an opportunity to create flashier headlines and a way for people's eyes to move through and grab bits of information. And that ability to grab information quickly allows them to understand more. So rather than reading a big block of copy, they have an opportunity to pick and choose, and then they get drawn in and they see more and more as they look at the page. Now, this is a big block of copy, but we chose to keep this block of copy because in this particular instance, something similar to this was on the website. It defined what the school is, and sometimes you do need to write what it is you're about. You also need to write that on Facebook, and you need to write that on YouTube. So we made it consistent across all of those platforms. So most people are never going to stop and read every word of this, but if you go to any one of those platforms, you're going to see a consistent message. Now, this is another part of the website that we are working on. And again, it's a process. If you have a series of things that you do on a regular basis and you put them on the website in chronological order, then you get what happened in January, what happened in February, what happened in March, what happened in April, May, and June. If it's June and you're looking for your information and it's way down here, you're scrolling. So we inverted things wherever it made sense. We're still in the process of working on that. But now when you go, if you look at the picture on the right, you start with June and then you go backwards in the historical listing of those items. And again, this is another opportunity where we did that, where we moved the newer information to the top. And, again, if you're looking at a budget, you don't really care about 2019. You care about what's happening for 2022, 2023. So it's those kinds of practices that are really important. I'm not sure if we can get out onto the website for the district newsletter. Can we click on that? Thank you. So again, a really strong group of communicators. And what we did with this is we took the pieces that were working. There was a piece on the website that was working that had the logo, that had how you click through to the different schools in the calendar. We took the vibrant information that the superintendent wanted to put out there and those links. And then if you scroll down, you'll see we divided the page So you have, again, that easy way for your eye to move through it so that there's headlines, there's different blocks, there's links throughout so that people start to react and interact with it rather than looking at a big block of copy. And the email blasts were already really, really strong, the open rate, the click-through rate, but this has allowed people to navigate them easier, ease of use. Thank you. So the next steps. Again, this first review was a lot of years of experience on my part. How is it to come to something? What are the best practices? Me coming into your communications as someone from somewhere else, how did I react to those things? Because if I react to them similarly, your community may be reacting to them. But the next step is 2 surveys, one for families, one for staff. And this will allow us to see truly how people are reacting. It's not just analytics and data that's automatically accumulated by the website or by your social media or by the constant contact, but this is people's chance to say, this is how I respond to this. So the survey results will help us identify how the community is using these tools, these regularly scheduled communication tools, and their expectations of those tools. And also it will inform how we move forward with those tools. We may find that a tool is really not working at all. So if the goals here in the district are to get that information in a way similar to that, we may have to find an adjustment altogether. Or we may be able to get rid of that and replace it with something else. And then we'll also be able to understand what your constituents, what your stakeholders are hoping for in communications. And then we can set goals to try to meet their expectations. And of course, the survey results will also look at the website because, again, the website is really important. It's one of the harder things in any district to keep current. But if we know what people are going there for, if we know what they expect from it, we can try to set those goals. As we look at those results, we may also then have to take additional data steps. We may have to interview some people. We may have to do some more targeted surveys. For example, we may find that Friday folders don't do exactly what we think they do. And so we may then need to send out a survey just about how do you react to the Friday folders so that we can determine what needs to happen with that communication tool. So the surveys are going to be quick. They're very, there's, I think, 4 or 5 questions in each one, but they focus on 2 things: the effectiveness of the district's various forms of communication tools, those regularly scheduled tools, and they focus on the website. And I think we're 2, yeah, there we go, next one. So once we have that information, we can start to develop communication plans. And I don't know if anybody is familiar with a communication plan, but basically you identify an action or a goal. So let's say that we do find that Friday folders need some revamping. We create a communications plan for the Friday folder, and we identify what the goals are and how to achieve it. What action should we take to achieve it? Each action is broken into steps, deadlines are identified, and someone is assigned to move that project forward. It's really a very helpful tool because it creates accountability, it creates a step-by-step process. And we can find it for almost anything. Let's say that we get feedback that the messaging is unclear between the elementary school and the middle school. For a parent who has children in both schools, they may be looking for more consistency. Well, then we can step back and look at how that messaging is going out, what it is that they've identified, that the community's identified that they feel is a weakness, and we can figure out the action plan to move that forward. Communication plans, they strengthen consistency, they strengthen communication techniques, and again, building that foundation, making sure that every person across the district understands that importance. That allows us to pivot easily on the day when the lights go out and we're trying to figure out how to serve, children lunch or whatever is happening at that moment. And then Dr. Forte asked me to come on board for next year. In addition to continuing with the communications, he'd like me to work as the internal coordinator for the strategic plan. And I really appreciate your vote of confidence in approving that. So thank you. And I think that, there's a bullet point of what that means, to work with the district communicators, to promote it, et cetera. The work that we've done so far and the work that we will continue to do as a result of the surveys will help to move that plan forward and will help to communicate that plan to the community at large. So this is a very good time for us to be working together on that, because to me, strategic plans are a lot about communication. To me, everything's about communication, but that's me. But, to elevate that, because in this district, the strategic plan is not something you do and put on a shelf. It's something that you implement into the curriculum, and it's on the wall, it's on the website, it's part of the vernacular, it's part of what's being communicated to the students, to the staff, to the community at large. So that is the work that we will endeavor to take on in the fall. So in conclusion, again, access to clear and consistent messaging, it's empowering. And empowerment is right there in your mission. And placing communications at the forefront of a district's priority, it provides unique opportunities to connect with students, to connect with families, to connect with faculty and educators in a positive, motivating, and meaningful way. And I think we saw how important that is today with those students. It's why we're in education. It's why we enjoy what we do. And that foundation allows us to move forward. It elevates our schools. It elevates the motivation. It elevates the enthusiasm. And particularly in the last 2 years, we've seen how important strong communication is. It's always important. But certainly when people are feeling insecure, it's really important to strengthen that as much as you can. And that community, the community priority of communication, it also strengthens engagement and it supports overall educational success. Questions?
Well, thank you, Ms. Marinello. That was a really great overview, and I appreciate a lot of things you said. I think it hits on exactly what we've been talking about for a few years now on. I feel like we have some great things to talk about in the district. We've got a lot of information. How do we get it out there in a way that's effectively communicated to the community? So I appreciate the information and look forward to continuing to see what we do moving forward. I'll open it up to any questions from the board. If anybody has any questions, go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, what's the criteria for ineffective? So if, under ease of use, I mean, is it like 80%, 70%? That something's ineffective?
It depends on how the whole website is used to begin with. In other words, let's look at social media to begin with. The audience that comes to your social media feed is pretty small. It's a small town with a small following. But if the percentage of the number of people who are liking something hits, you start to look at everything that's there and you go, oh, you're getting 12 on a regular basis. That's a lot there are actual national movements that don't get 12 on a post. So if you see that, it shows that you're moving forward. The same is true when you look at the analytics of the website. If there's a spot that everybody goes to and you've got, 100 hits in, a 24-hour period, well, clearly that's working. If you've got 0 somewhere else, it means you're either not getting them there or it's not of interest to them. And then you have to evaluate where it falls in between. So there is some, the determination is based on what the norm is for the tool that we're looking at in this community. It's not based on a national thing. Does that answer your question?
Well, sort of, but just in terms of like the survey, for example, when that goes out and people are responding, what's your tipping point to say, hey, the community at large doesn't think that this is effective or working?
Well, it will depend on how many surveys we get back. So that will be a percentage of the world at large. Then we have to determine how effective, if that's really a true representation of your community. If you have, when we send it out with the number of students in the school and the number of families in the school district, then we have to compare. If we get 10 surveys back, we don't have enough to move forward. So we have to look at the percentage to begin with. So it depends on what the sample size is, how we determine how relevant it is. If we don't get that kind of engagement, which I would find unusual in this district, I would say it would happen in some districts, but if we don't get enough engagement on that survey, we'll have to take a different tact.
Just as a follow-up, when will the surveys be sent out? When will you tabulate and analyze the results? And then when do you make that actionable?
And that I'm going to turn to Dr. Forte for.
So we have it on the agenda tonight for approval by the board. It's a parent survey, and parent surveys get approved by the board. After it's done, it'll go out. It'll go out tomorrow. If it doesn't go out tomorrow, it'll be Wednesday, and it'll be in the Friday folder. We'll push it pretty hard. It's a little late in the year, so we thought it would be better to get it out now, right? Prior to the summer. And we'd like to have the data by the fall. So we were thinking about trying to get it out now. It might be something we want to consider to start the school year off with rather than do it right now. We got to talk about that.
Yeah, well, I think we'll discuss it tomorrow. I think from my perspective at this moment, I would like to see if we think it can be effective going out now and see how people respond to it. If they're just so busy thinking about going to the shore, then, this may not work. But if we can continue to push it on the social media sites and see how the responses are, that would probably be the best way to start.
Yep.
You mentioned about pushing the survey on the social media. Are we able to see click through on that? Because wouldn't that give us a little bit of an indication on effectiveness if you're getting click through on the social media for that?
Yes.
Another question. We have the standard ones, how effective the website links are and whatnot. Is there something that the community would like to hear? And is there a sort of a way for them to say, hey, I would like to see this particular information added in the website? Today, we are only asking how effective what we are putting on the website is, as opposed to what else would they like to?
There's an opportunity to say, do you have suggestions? Do you have something you'd like to see included in communications?
Okay, there's an opportunity.
Yes, I just gave you the two main
Okay,
questions.
Great, thank you.
Just generally, you started your presentation off by citing two examples where a client asked you for something that they didn't really need or want, or what the end goal was. So my question is with us, what is that?
I haven't been asked to do anything here yet that I don't think is a strong next step. And I think, again, that comes back to the strength of the communication team here. I think Dr. Forte and Kim and Cindy are they're acutely aware of how important communications are. And they very much want to put the strongest information in the strongest possible format out to the community. So far nobody said make a brochure when I know that's going to end up in the trash.
The reason I ask is because as a board, we've struggled over the years to really try to find the message, right? Like the website is come self-serve. Social media is push, right? Text, all of the various things we've tried with varying degrees of success. So my question, I guess, to you is what are we missing, or what haven't we thought of? And is that part of going to be the process as you go through the audit?
I think the communication plans are the strongest. And again, we are currently looking at only the communication tools that you currently use on a regularly scheduled basis. There's a lot more to communications. When it comes to, for example, the students and the teams here tonight, we can look at how we as a district talk about that. Where Where would we push that out? How would we let people know that? That may be a whole different procedure that we want to put in place within the district, determined by, obviously everything takes time and manpower. So is it possible to move those kinds of good news moments forward so that you have opportunities to push them out right away or within a certain period of time? And who's going to handle those types of details? That may be something we determine from the survey. That may be something that we determine as we look at how people respond to those regularly scheduled information communication procedures that we're putting out there. We may feel, because you also have a chance to write those kinds of questions in, that we need to take a different step and look at things that we're not doing at all. That's not, maybe not, and I'm not saying you are or aren't doing that. That's not what I've been asked to look at. But if that's something that's a priority and a goal, we can find a different way to move forward with that.
Yeah, as a follow-up, if I may, Mr. Capello, I think, is mentioning a great question in the sense that, are there best practices from other districts that we are currently not using that we maybe could employ? Right?
Yes. And so part of that is looking at how we do the newsletter, what the content of that newsletter is. Initially, it was to bring everything sort of in alignment. And now once we hear what the district stakeholders are hoping for or looking for, and then we start to drill down on what is happening in our classrooms, what is happening on our athletic fields that we want to make sure we get out, and how are we going to do that? Because ultimately it comes down to what the kids are doing. It's all about the kids.
The other thing that came to my mind is when Dina, when you first asked that, your first set of questions, two topics that we could potentially be using that magic brochure that you have is the 5-year strategic plan, the new one that we're looking to hold with the community, as well as the possible referendum, if there is one, after any long-range facility plan analysis that we have. So that could be potential areas of where we need a communication plan for the public and the community.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, for referendums, you need a communications plan.
For everybody's note, we are not talking about a referendum right now.
Okay.
Thankfully, right now.
Just you mentioned it. Just letting you know
That's
a
how
good
rumors
tool.
start.
It's a good tool.
I want to thank you for the presentation. It was very well done and certainly opened up my eyes to a lot of aspects I didn't even thought of before. One thing over the years when I've gone on the website, and you mentioned consistency across all platforms, I think it's really important that we say the same thing in every place. But I know how much time you spent going to the nooks and crannies of the website. I don't go there that often. Primarily look at the calendar and do email as well as some of the presentations and things are coming up for Board of Ed meetings. But we often had information, the same information, different spots on the website, and it wasn't all the same.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about it. I think it's been cleaned up to a degree, but that would really be beneficial. And also the use of the ease of access to get the information. I'm a big one and done guy. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes you got to go deep to find what you're looking for. So I hope that comes up as we move forward with this process.
Thank you. And it is something we've talked about a lot. Again, websites in public schools are tough because there's so much that is required. And because there's so many different, it's a whole district. That's one set of messages. And then you've got 3 different buildings. But we have talked about it, and we're trying very hard to go through page by page. It will take some combing out, and it's a lot. It is a lot of information. But if you see things that you feel are not working, it's helpful to help us, because it's, I can't dig. I mean, we're digging. We're digging through a lot of pages. So if something's glaring to you, it may be glaring to someone else who's looking for that kind of information. It's very helpful to know what that is.
Yeah, actually, you said something which actually sparked something in my mind. In the survey, do you look at how parents are going to be consuming it, the media, the information? And the reason I ask is, sorry, we could design a great desktop website, but if 90% of our parents are looking at it on a mobile device and the information is just not laid out properly, I know that's a technical thing, but how in the weeds do you kind of get there?
We get in the weeds. We just looked at what the current provider for your website is offering in terms of those types of things. And we've done some evaluation on what the templates are that are available that could easily be applied, because a whole website redesign is probably not something you need to do today. You may need to do that in 5 years, but today is probably not a good time for that. But what they have already available and how that would translate onto the mobile device, we absolutely are looking at that.
Great, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I can give not a specific example, but generally I can tell you, for instance, during COVID, as you mentioned, Dr. Forte had sent out a lot of information, right, on a weekly basis, but those were stored on our website in PDF form, which was not searchable. So I would remember there was a communication, I can't remember if it was 2 weeks ago or 6 weeks ago, and I'm digging through PDF after PDF after PDF to try to find that one piece of information. So the searchability, I think, on a website, especially when people are trying to look fast, is something that I think if we have the ability to transition it into a searchable format, and I'm sure that's probably the website capabilities as well as how we store it and all of that, maybe something that's it makes everybody's life a little bit easier.
Yes, and again, I think Kim is looking into how we can better put things on so that they're easier to find. Again, the website is a big project in and of itself, and I don't want you to think that we're not paying attention to it, but I also don't want you to think that those changes are right at the doorstep either, because the website is a really big part of this communication tool that needs a lot of care and tending to understand it completely. But that's a good point. Yes.
Any other questions from the board? Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We look forward to continuing to hear reports on how we're doing and hear the survey results. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I really appreciate being here. And I just want to thank everybody who helped me with our presentation tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
All right. For upcoming presentations, that's our last presentation for this evening. On June 27th, our next meeting, Dr. Forte and Dr. Cullis with Charlene Peterson from New Jersey School Board Association. We'll be doing our goal setting for 2022-2023. I will remind everyone that I would ask everyone, I should say, to start the board members to think about goals that you have in mind. And if you think of them, shoot them over to Dr. Forte so he can start. He does a great job with the administration on coming what they think might be some really good goals. But if you have something in your mind, I think shoot it over to him ahead of time. It always helps to be prepared for that. Shortens that meeting a little bit if we're coming in with some ideas. And then July 18th, we will do our 2021-2022 full year HIB and SSDS presentation. So with that, we'll move on to superintendent's comments. Dr. Forte.
Okay, so with the last tragedy in Texas, the chief, Sergeant Weldon, and myself, we felt that it was important to get around the district. So we set up meetings with all the faculty from each building on June 6th, June 13th, and with the transportation department on June 10th. We went around and we talked with each school's faculty and with the transportation department regarding just security, and we wanted to just stress to everybody that this is everyone in the district's number one goal. It's the number one goal of the board, the administration, the police, the township, everybody, to keep students and staff safe. And that if there are any things that they see, and I also reminded everybody that we can't do it alone, that everybody's in this together, and they have to make sure they're keeping their eyes open and reporting anything that might not be up to speed. So today was our last one, and it seemed like it was well received by the staff. Our projects are moving forward. The Lakeland Hills YMCA, offered the staff an opportunity to use the facility for the rest of the school year for wellness. So basically the month of June. And that was in reaction to the events that unfolded in Texas as well. And they felt like it was something that they'd like to do for us. And they offered it to all of our employees for an opportunity to go there and take yoga or any of their other activities they have. A couple reminders, June 20th and 21st are early dismissals for all schools. June 21st is the last day of school for Riverview and Valley View. And June 22nd, which is a half day, is a Lakeview only last day. And this is because of the December power outage. We have to make up one day at Lakeview. And that last day is June 22nd. That's also an early dismissal. Our COVID numbers, we did have a spike in COVID in May, and the numbers are coming back down now. We have about 13 cases, down from almost 70 in May. So that's my report.
Thank you, Dr. Forte. Dr. Cullis, Assistant Superintendent's comments.
Sure. We're wrapping up the school year. A lot of very great activities going on every day. We have different presentations, different grade levels on field trips. So depending on where your students are and where your children are, you're seeing probably different academic things that are going on in the district. The LV, the Lakeview Lead graduation will be on June 20th at 9 a.m., just as an example. And our summer programs are starting, and that's all of them, summer ESY, DALA, and Explorations, all start June 27th at Lakeview this year. This concludes Assistant Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Cullis. Mrs. Gorelski, any business administrative comments tonight?
For those of you who has not made a decision in reference to the New Jersey School Board Association conference in October, if you are planning to attend, please let me know as soon as possible so we can make reservations and register you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Gorelski. Before we move on to our open public discussion, I did want to make a quick comment, and it's regards to the recent tragic events, the school shooting in our country. Prepared a short statement, and I'd like to start off with just a moment of silence for the 22 students and staff who passed away and the 18 that were injured. Thank you. Columbine High School, Sandy Hook Elementary School, Robb Elementary School, Stoneman Douglas High School, Santa Fe High School, Red Lake Senior High School. These are names of schools that we all know for the wrong reason. Not because they're national blue ribbon schools, nor are they national schools of character. We all know the names of these schools because they have been the locations of a disgusting trend in our country. School shootings. Think about that for a second. If I say the term school shooting, everyone knows exactly what I'm referring to. In fact, Wikipedia has a page titled, quote, List of School Shootings in the United States by Death Toll. That page lists 29 school shootings with 4 or more deaths. The most recent mass school shooting is listed as the 3rd deadliest on that Wikipedia page. That shooting took place in a town not too different from Denville, similar population, suburban town, and an elementary school with a similar enrollment to one of our elementary schools. These stats get me sick to my stomach. This has to end. We need to find a way to stop this. I'm not going down the politics route tonight, but instead I'm doubling down on this board's dedication to keep our students safe. This has and will continue to include the 8 spokes of the school safety and security wheel that Dr. Forte and former Denville Police Chief Chris Wagner described in their article they published in 2018. Those spokes are: 1, keeping school safety and security as the top priority of the school district. 2, relationship and trust between the police and schools. 3, communication. 4, student and staff behavior and trust. 5, facilities and technology. 6, preparedness. 7, behavioral health. And 8, security personnel. All spokes of the wheels must be strong. As retired Denville Police Chief Chris Wagner used to say, quote, we need to make our schools like castles, not correctional facilities. A castle is beautiful, safe, and secure. It's not necessary to make our schools like prisons where students are not free to roam the hallways, learn, and have fun. I thank the administration and staff for their commitment to our student safety, but I remind them to remain vigilant. I reaffirm this Board of Education's dedication to protecting our most precious assets, our students. With that, I'm going to move on to our first open public comment section. We had a slight change to the way we are administering our public comments this evening. All public comments will be brought in front of the board in person this evening. We previously were accepting them via email. We had some concerns about the identifying the personality or identifying the person via email as opposed to them being in public, and making sure that we were not misspeaking or giving misinformation about someone. So we wanted to make sure for everybody's privacy that we allowed the comments only to be in person, certainly not to withhold comments. We definitely want as many comments, and we welcome comments to the board. This portion of the meeting is open to any individuals for the purpose of addressing resolutions on this agenda or matters that they find important to the Board of Education, and is governed by Board Policy 0167. Prior to making a comment, members of the public are required to state their names, address, and subject matter of the comment. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. No participant may speak more than once on the same subject until all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. Comments made by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board or district administration. Any response that is provided will be made at the end of the public comment section. After all comments have been heard, the board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful to the rights of other individuals when speaking. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. Therefore, comments regarding specific students and employees will not be responded to by the board. The board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comments made by members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comment in light of these legal rights of those affected or identified in their comments, and beware that they legally may be held responsible and liable for their comments. All statements, comments, questions, inquiries shall be directed to the board president. With that, I'm going to open our first public comment section at 8:52 p.m.
Oh, okay, it is. You guys got to stop switching that on us. Good evening. My name is Donna Marie Szynski, 64 Pier Place. I want to thank you for what you said about the school shootings, because that's definitely something that we all have to be very mindful of, and it's about our kids, period, end of the day. And I'm very grateful that Denville Schools has the level of security that we do. So thank you, because I know you guys all have a part of that. The last meeting, I sent in Garwood's resolution to the health curriculum. This meeting, I will read Montague's resolution. I will also email all the board members with the Board of Ed meeting video and the resolution in writing. If any member of the public wishes to review the meeting, please email me at dmski1973@gmail.com. Please put in Montague Board of Ed video in subject. It was a 7-0 vote, and their lawyer agrees it's an acceptable path forward. So it's perfectly legal to do this. Whereas the Montague Board of Education has major reservations regarding some of the curriculum set forth by the New Jersey Student Learning Standards covered under the Comprehensive Health and Physical Education 2020 NJSLS CHPE, which can be found here. I'm not going to share the link right on record. Whereas the Montague School Board refuses to approve curriculum and/or instructional materials that would result in subject matters including but not limited to oral sex, anal sex, masturbation, and gender identity being discussed with children at all grade levels. Whereas some of the curriculum set forth by the NJSLS is extreme, age inappropriate, and was adopted without consideration of parental rights in these sensitive subject matters that would directly affect children's education and private lives. Whereas it is undisputed that, generally speaking, the State Department of Education does not mandate curriculum. Whereas it's also undisputed that the authority to approve instructional material is vested in the local boards of education. Whereas the Montague School Board intends to exercise its authority to approve instructional materials and that are current, medically accurate, developmentally and age appropriate, and developed and selected through meaningful and ongoing consultation with the school community, including the parents. Therefore, be it resolved, the Montague Board of Education of the shall not adopt any curriculum set forth by the New Jersey Student Learning Standards covered under the new Comprehensive Health and Physical Education 2020 NJSLS CHPE that is not developmentally and age appropriate, or that would result in subject matters including but not limited to oral sex, anal sex, masturbation, and gender identity being discussed with children at all grade levels. I personally am requesting you to seriously consider this resolution and maybe creating something similar for our students. We need to focus on helping any child struggling for whatever reason. This isn't to pick and choose. It's all the kids, anybody struggling. It should be done in a case-by-case basis and always include the parents. I think it should be like an IEP. Thank you. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you, Mrs. Zinsky. Appreciate it. And just to update everyone on health curriculum and the process, I know we've asked Dr. Cullis and Dr. Forte to kind of prioritize that through the review. Dr. Cullis, would you mind just talking a little bit about the timeline as far as when you expect to have the curriculum update for at least for the health curriculum in particular?
Sure. The curriculum will be ready in August. I mean, we're wrapping up the school year. We're really busy trying to get everything done for the school year. The staff have been selected to work on this. It's been approved, and we will start in the summer. And then we'll work on that.
Thank you, Dr.
And then once
Cullis.
we have a product, we'll present it. You'll have plenty of time to come and look at it before it's approved by the board. But I ask that people give us a chance to even write it, and then we can discuss. I mean, with that.
Thank you, Dr. Cullis. Appreciate it. So just, do you think at the August meeting we'll probably do that presentation? Because we usually have what, 1 July, 1 August, right? Not 2. So just from a timing perspective, do you think the August meeting
We
would-
do. And the family life curriculum or the family life lessons usually happen in the spring. So we're talking
Got it.
months from when it actually happens. We also, we're talking about typically 2 or 3 days. It's very clear which days. It's not that this would happen 50 days of the year. They have, like in the middle school, has a quarter, and they have to cover diseases, health, CPR, this family life. They cover all of that in 9 weeks. So we're certainly not talking about a year-long class, but we will be working on it, like I said, this summer. We have counselors, health professionals, PE teachers who administer the health, and myself and the administrators. So we will be working on that over the summer, and then we'll give it an opportunity for the board and community to review it.
Thank you, Dr. Cullis. And I would just remind everybody in the public that take a look at our current curriculum, because I think it's a good starting point. Our current curriculum is found going to the website, curriculum and instruction. From there, you see several links, actually linked for pretty much every subject. One is physical education and health. So from there, you can view our existing curriculum that is approved and at least have a starting point from there. Is that fair, Dr. Cullis?
Yes, and I just want to make a note to be really clear that those topics that were mentioned, those are in the sample curriculum that the state puts out. That is not the standard. So we, by law, have to follow the standards, but you get to choose how you, what materials you develop, what materials you purchase to support the standards. So anything you see in parentheses on the sample curriculum are not required. Anything on the standards in parentheses are not required. Anything in the resources or sample curriculum, which is called model curriculum, but model meaning sample, are not required. So I know that if you go to all the list of resources, there are a lot of things, and that's what I normally hear from and see, but that's not what's required. It's just, those are just resources.
Thank you, Dr. Cullis. Appreciate it. Any other public comments? Seeing none, I'm going to, sorry, hold on.
Donna Marie Szynski, 64 Pier Place. From my understanding, The reason why these resolutions are being put in place, Garwood and Montague, Montauk, yeah, whatever, I'm sorry. They're doing this so teachers don't go above and beyond, okay? It's kind of putting a standard out there. It's not just for you guys. I mean, obviously, whoever's making the curriculum is going to be very mindful, especially in Denville. I really believe Denville, we're going to be really mindful and respect everybody's boundaries. However, there are people that could take it above. And that's why these resolutions are being put in place to respect everybody and make sure everybody's being respected. So this way nobody crosses a line that might upset parents and might put a board in a bad position or a school district in a bad position. That's why I keep recommending them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Szynski. And certainly, as we talk about the presentation in the future, we can certainly talk about kind of what the bounds are for our staff members, and I'm sure we have typical bounds that are followed and monitored throughout the year. So thank you, though. I appreciate it. Any other public comments? Seeing none, I'll close our first public comment section at 9 p.m. We'll move on to our agenda. Mr. Capello, would you mind taking us through old business, no action to be taken this evening?
I would be happy to. At the next meeting, we will be reviewing and voting on items A, B, and C. A includes reports from May 2022, Treasurer of School Monies and Board Secretary. B are education reports of student enrollment, report of the Health Office of May 2022, and an HIB case, VV 212212. And finally, minutes from our board meetings, work session and executive session meeting of May 9th, and our regular and executive session meeting of May 23rd.
Thank
I'll
you.
second.
Oh, no action tonight, Mr. Cass. Any questions for old business for our next meeting? Okay. Mrs. Wagner, would you mind running us through personnel action to be taken this evening?
Certainly. If there are no objections, I would like to move under A, personnel, items 1A through U on the agenda. And then I want to call your attention to the addendum items still under 1V through Y, as well as 2 through 8 on your agenda. Under 8 on the main agenda, A through D. Item E is on the addendum. And 9 and 10 are also on the addendum.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Wagner and Mr. Capello. Any questions, comments?
Actually, I do have a question. Number 10, Mr. Shemin as the head custodian, is he going to be the head custodian for Riverview then?
He'll be the Riverview head custodian for the remainder of this year, starting today.
Great, thank you.
He's also the head custodian for next year. That's already been approved.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mrs. Wagner,
Yes.
Mr. Cass,
Yes.
Mr. Kim,
Yes.
Dr. Aruna Jitasan,
Yes.
Dr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes. Mr. Capello, would you mind moving us to instruction and program action to be taken this evening?
I would be happy to. If there are no objections, I would like to move items 1 and 2 under instruction and programming. 1 includes workshop expenses for 2 staff members. And number 2 is we're approving the attached parent communication survey we spoke about earlier tonight.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Capello and Mr. Kim. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mrs. Wagner,
Yes.
Mr. Cass,
Yes.
Mr. Kim,
Yes.
Dr. Aruna Jitasan,
Yes.
Dr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes. Mr. Kim, would you mind moving us through finance action to be taken?
Sure. If there are no objections, I move to approve section C finance, number 1, which is to approve the PG Chambers School to provide physical therapy and occupational therapy services for ESY program summer 2022 at Lakeview. Number 2, to approve the out of placement or out of district placements as listed in the agenda. As well as number 3 on the addendum, the second page of the addendum, which is the submission of the IDEA application for the fiscal year 2023 and accepts the grant award for fiscal year 2023 for the amount of $374,996 for basic public and $23,582 for preschool.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Kim and Mr. Cass. Any questions on finance? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mrs. Wagner,
Yes.
Mr. Cass,
Yes.
Mr. Kim,
Yes.
Dr. Abunajatasan,
Yes.
Dr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes. Under new business, no action to be taken this evening. Mrs. Wagner, would you mind moving us through personnel, please?
Certainly. At the next meeting, myself or a fellow board member will be asking the board to approve items 1A through I, and then 2 through 6, which include resignations, new hires, and leaves.
Any questions on personnel for our next meeting?
For number 5 and 6, when is the latest that we can actually vote on this? Just curiously.
Is it June 30? Would it be June 30? Have to vote by?
Yeah, at the next meeting, June 27th would be the absolute latest.
Great, thank you.
And just to note, I think we said this at the last meeting. Both of those contracts have been, for Mrs. Gorowski as well as Dr. Cullis, have been approved by the county. I received a letter, and I know Dr. Forte did also. So
Yeah, they were approved pending board approval, so yeah, they're ready to go.
any other questions for personnel? Okay, Mr. Capello, would you mind moving us through instruction and program for our next meeting?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I or someone else at the next meeting will be moving items 1 and 2 under instruction and program. These include item A, which is to attend a virtual workshop, making the best of Desmos to strengthen your math instruction. And number 2, the board will be adopting revised reading and writing units of study K2 and reading units of study 6-8, written by Teachers College Reading and Writing Project.
Thank you, Mr. Capello. Any questions on instruction and program for our next meeting?
I just wanted to note that's our entire math department in the middle school, including 2 people that are, one's on maternity leave and one is new, and they've all agreed to come this summer. So Jen worked hard to get everybody on board to go. So we're excited about that.
Excellent. Thank you. It's great news. Dr. Moore, would you mind moving us through policy revisions that we'll bring forth at our next meeting?
Sure. Either myself or someone else will move under policy revisions, items 1. Safety plan for healthcare settings, record keeping for healthcare settings in school buildings. Title I revisions, student intervention, examination for cause, maintenance and repair, facilities and maintenance, emergency and crisis situations, cooperation with law enforcement agencies, board member participation using electronics, and student supervision after school dismissal.
Any questions on policy?
Yeah, I just want to bring to the board's attention that the first 2 policies, the first one's the actual abolishing an older policy, So dot 14, and it will be replaced with dot 15, it looks like. And for first reading as well.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. And I would point out, I think probably good for everybody to take a look through the second to last policy that we have up for first reading, which is board member participation using electronics. Just make sure you read through that. And if you have any questions, bring them to Dr. Forte or bring them to the next meeting. But it's first reading for that policy. But I think it's important as we've had to use it, obviously, a few times and may need to use that in the future. Any other questions of policy? Seeing none, finance. Mr. Kim, would you mind moving us through finance that we'll go through at our next meeting?
Sure. During the next meeting, myself or someone else will be motioning Section D finance, which includes a list of checks under number 1 that will be filled out. Number 2 will be the resolution regarding the capital reserve transfer, which is not to exceed $3 million. For the next fiscal year. Number 3 will be the approval of the resolution for the maintenance reserve transfer, not to exceed $1.5 million, as well as the rest of the items listed in the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Any questions? Mr. Cash, you have any questions on number 6?
I had heard a rumor, it might have been on the news, or, you know, I didn't really pay too much attention to it, that they were changing the milk requirement, that there was going to be, I guess, more choice than drinking skim milk and low-fat milk. There's 3 choices there. So for those of you who haven't been here when I vote no at all the prior meetings there, I just don't feel the federal government should be telling the parents what type of milk their kids should drink at school. So I don't know if you've heard anything on that at all, but obviously what we're seeing here is the same as in the past. So I'll be voting no as usual.
The Department of Agriculture has not changed the guidelines as of right now. They still do not allow whole milk to be served in school districts. So as of right now, I did not read or heard anything different.
Damaris, out of curiosity, that 44 cents per pint, is that, do you have any ballpark figure? Is that more expensive than last year?
It is a lot more expensive than last year. It's about 20 cents more than last year. Yes.
Excellent. Any other questions on finance? Any other good news? All right, Mr. Cass, operations for our next meeting, if you wouldn't mind moving us through, please.
Certainly. At the next meeting under operations, we have items to move under transportation and building and grounds. Under transportation, I'm going to ask the board to approve the use of district school buses by Learner Limited LLC at an hourly rate of $70 per hour on the following dates and locations noted below. Under buildings and grounds, we have under item 2.1 4 jobs for the board to approve. The first one is to approve the attached quotes with RFS Commercial to renovate and install new cabinetry and other miscellaneous items at the Valley View Middle School band room in the amount of $42,532.08, and we'll be using maintenance reserve funds for that project. The second one is for the board to approve with RFS Commercial to remove and install new light fixtures with diffuser lenses at the Valley View Middle School band room in the amount of $13,626.91, again, using maintenance reserve funds. I also will mention, too, that we've done a number of lighting projects here at the schools. It was really impressive when you go walk into these classrooms and see these new light fixtures. They're more energy efficient and they really brighten up the rooms. Item number 3 is to approve the attached quotes from RFS Commercial to renovate and install new cabinetry, other miscellaneous Valley View Middle School art room in the amount of $64,000.26. And again, we're going to use maintenance reserve funds. Item 4 is to approve the attached quotes with RFS Commercial to remove and install new lights fixtures with diffuser lenses at the Valley View Middle School Art Room and the amount of $13,626.91. Maintenance reserve funds to be used again. 2.2 is for the board to approve the submission of the anticipated facility request for the upcoming school year to the Morris County Superintendent of Schools. And we do not anticipate any applying for changes for the use of dual use for our rooms at the school. 2.3 is to approve the attached quote from Rubberneck LLC for the removal and replacement of the damaged rubber playground at Lakeview School in the amount of $140,888.80. Item 2.4 is that the board approve cash from landscape management and design for the landscaping services district-wide in the amount of $38,180 prorated for the upcoming school year. And it's great to see that Cashman is continuing to do our landscaping work. They've just done a phenomenal job since they've been on board. They've been, besides doing a good job, they're consistent and they remain in business, not leaving us short-handed at the middle of the year, which happened a few years ago. And we had to find people to take care of the landscaping maintenance.
Thank you, Dr. Cass, or excuse me, Mr. Cass. Any questions, comments? I just want to ask one quick question on the lighting projects. The numbers seem pretty high for one room. When I look through the quote, it looks like 7 48-inch light fixtures. Just trying to kind of figure out, are we sure this is a good price for $13,000 for one room? I mean, I know they're big rooms because they're the band room and the art rooms. They're not like regular small classrooms, but it seems pretty expensive. So I just want to make sure we're doing our due diligence.
So it's not just replacing the fixtures, it's adding fixtures, and it's also rewiring it so that they can be better controlled, meaning like, especially in the art room, for example, the teacher likes to have like dimmed lights, things like that. So we don't have the ability to do that now. So it's more than just the fixtures. It's a total rewiring and replacement and additional fixtures.
Okay. So you guys feel confident it's a good price and good value?
Yeah, I personally was involved in the project, and we had a state contracted vendor come out and work directly with the teachers to upgrade this. So we really took a lot of what the teachers wanted. And the two rooms they're pretty old and they're ready for some renovations. We've been doing it slowly. If you recall, we did the cooking room a few years back. Then the last few years we really spent a good amount of money revamping the field, and now it's a little bit of upgrades to our arts too. So it's been kind of part of the process that we've been going through for the last 8 years or so.
Okay. And then I'm just looking through the band room quote. Is that cabinetry? Is that why the freight is so expensive? Yeah, this is cabinetry. Okay. I thought that was, for some reason, I thought that was lighting for a second. I was like $2,300 and shipping for lighting seemed expensive, but it's cabinetry. So I guess that makes more sense. Okay. Thank you.
I need to make a correction. The rate for the milk from last year to this year was 9 cents, not 20 cents. I apologize.
Okay. Still expensive. I figured it was going up. That was why I wasn't asking that. I just wondering. Everything in the world is going up. So thank you, Damaris. And thank you, Dr. Forte. Any other questions on operations? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to go to the cause, committee reports, correspondence, discussion items. We've got board meeting highlights. Dr. Ford, we've got a bunch tonight. So
yeah, the three presentations, I thought those are highlights for today.
Yep, I think so too.
Susan's working on some press release for today, some pictures, and we also had the reporter from the Citizen here, so there'll be some news about it.
Excellent. Thank you. Discussion about strategic planning logistics.
So the dates, I've told you guys a few times, it's going to be the two meetings in November, then the meeting in December. So what we'd like to do is a 6:30 to 7:30 public board meeting, followed by the 7:30 strategic planning session it will be with Susan and with Charlene Peterson. And there's 3 sessions like that. Is anybody have any kind of problem with any of those, or you want to come up with a different way? It was just what I thought was the best way, because last time all the board members wanted to be present, and for all the board members to be present and discussing board business, it has to be considered an open meeting. So I thought that we would open the meeting. We won't close it. We'll have to close the meeting after the strategic planning like we did the last time, but there'll be, we'll take care of our agenda and all the other stuff, and then we'll move to the strategic planning for those 3 meetings. So we would have to kind of condense to an hour though, to be able to start the strategic planning on our own. Because if you recall, we had about 100 people at the last one, and we're going to try to invite the public out again. So if everybody feels confident that, we'll move on that. And Damaris will make the changes in the newspaper, the website, and the calendar, and all those things.
Would the meetings be here, or because we did breakout sessions in the different classrooms last time? So
yeah, we might have to move them to a school. So I'm not sure yet. Like, this is probably not the best spot for it. Just, there's not enough breakout space. So maybe we'll move to Riverview, something like that. So we'll figure that out.
And then, Steve, when you say 6:30 to 7:30, I think you said board meeting. So we would have a full board meeting. 'Cause I don't think we did that last time. I thought we scheduled it as a board meeting, but really that was just to go through this. We didn't do any business, I believe.
We did have to do some business a few times, because there'll be like HIB thing, all the things that we have to do, we'll have to do at the meeting. We'll do the best we can at keeping the agenda small. That's not a real busy time of the year right there, because there's personnel and things like that. But we will have to do some business.
So those will be our regular 2 November board meetings.
The 2 November one and the regular one in December. So
Okay.
it's just the regular meetings. It's the way I chose them.
Okay. Yep. That's okay with me. That's perfectly fine. I think we could move the agenda as a block, whatever we need to do to expedite kind of going through the agendas. And obviously, Dr. Forte, as we move into that, I would say, let's try to move anything into October or later December, January timeframe, anything that doesn't need to be moved, just so we keep the meetings as brief as possible.
Yeah, we won't do any other presentations. One of them, if you recall, will be my presentation, like an update of the status of the district, but that'll be part of the strategic planning as well.
Any other feedback on that? Everybody else good with that? Generally? Okay, sounds good. Anybody have anything else for the good of the cause?
Okay. Yeah, I went to the community. I attended the community services fair, I believe it was called, representing Hub Soccer, and it was just a phenomenal experience for me, and I'm sure for everybody else that was there. Got to meet a lot of the special needs kids, came with their parents, talked to the parents about our Challenger program and Hub Soccer, but also talked to some of the other vendors about some of the other services they offer, which unknown to me, especially the ladies that ran that agility camp over the summer, CrossFit training and everything. And I talked to them a little bit about exactly what they do with the kids. And there's an academic element too. So we haven't done that for 2 years. So I'm glad I was able to attend. Hopefully we won't have to put that aside again going forward.
Thank you, Mr. Cass. Any other good of the cause? Go ahead, Dino.
Yeah, I noticed, did we drop off that discussion about what we're going to do leading up to school boards? It looks like it dropped off, so I don't want to lose track of it. Maybe we can make that decision soon.
Yeah, let's make the decision tonight. How do you guys feel? First of all, I guess general question: who plans on going to school boards? What do you go? 3, 4, 5, maybe. Okay. So, any opinion on how you want to handle that meeting? Reschedule, or I guess the options are Dr. Forte, right? Reschedule, or have the meeting and we can leave afterwards, or leave the next day. So those are the kind of options.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind leaving after. I probably would do that. Just get in the car and drive. So I don't.
If you're driving, that's fine. I'll jump in.
Okay, that's fine.
Saves on gas too.
Oh no, you're buying the gas. I'll buy coffee.
Who else is going? Hold on. Anybody else? Everybody good with having the meeting that night and then leave either that night or the following day? Good. Okay, we're good then on that decision. Thank you, Dino. James, you had something?
Had a few things. First, I wanted to congratulate Mrs. Jaffe on her successful Treps night. I was able to be part of that, and it's just truly amazing to see all the students come up with great items that they were able to sell and experience the whole entrepreneurial experience. I also wanted to give some highlights from the Finance Committee. The LFRP has been delayed, so hopefully we'll have it by the end of this week on Friday, the 17th. But also wanted to commend Damaris Gorowski for another grant that she was able to get. This time she was able to get the FEMA application, or she filed a FEMA application for additional COVID-related funding, and she was able to get the district another $134,000. So thank you, Mrs. Gorowski, for that. She also volunteered that if anyone knows of any more grants, that just pass it her way. She'll definitely work on it. So, and finally, I also wanted to commend Miss Stacy Grainhagen. Apparently, there were bus inspections done for looks like the middle of May, and the inspectors who were there really commended both the transportation department on how well the buses were maintained, but also commended Stacy on an amazing job of keeping the records well organized, the driver's licenses and the medical binders and everything else. So, you know, we rarely, or I feel they often get overlooked. So I wanted to commend Ms. Greenhagen for the phenomenal job that she's been doing over there as well.
Thank you for pointing that out, Mr. Kimmel. Those great things, and thanks, Damaris, and thanks to Stacy for all the work she's doing. Appreciate it.
And I had a quick question. Is there details about the graduation as well, where it is, and is it going to be at the high school or?
It's indoors at the Morris Knowles Auditorium. It's on Friday, the 17th. The rest of the exact time, I know I put in your report. I looked at there, but I think it's
7 p.m., I believe.
Yeah, 7 o'clock. If
All right,
anybody has any special requests, you can send me an email ASAP, and I'll see what we can do.
So we just tell you if we want to be present as well? Or, yeah.
If anybody wants to be present and if anybody wants to help hand out the certificates, just shoot me an email. I'll get it over to Mr. Corman. It would be great if you could do it by tomorrow, though, because he's starting to make the plans and everything. It's this Friday. Thanks.
And just for any board members who haven't been there, it's a great opportunity to be there, but also it's pretty quick. So don't expect to be there for like an hour. It's probably 30 minutes. Maybe.
Yeah, and there's AC in there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
They have
this
AC.
doesn't mean we have to go any slower.
Yeah. I think it'll be 33 minutes.
They speed read through the names, so it's good. Any other questions or anything else for the good of the cause? Okay, we're going to move on to our second open public comment section. This portion of the meeting is open to any individuals for the purpose of addressing resolutions on this agenda or matters that they find important to the Board of Education and is governed by Board Policy 0167. Prior to making a comment, members of the public are required to state their names, addresses, and subject matter of the comment, excuse me. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. No participant may speak more than once on the same topic until all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. Comments made by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board or district administration. Any response that is provided will be made at the end of the public comment period after all comments have been heard. The board asks members of the public to be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals in speaking. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. Therefore, comments regarding specific students and employees will not be responded to by the board. The board bears no responsibility nor will be liable for any comments made by members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comments in light of the legal rights of those affected or identified in their comments and be aware that they are legally held responsible and liable for their comments. All statements, questions, and inquiries shall be directed to the board president. I'm going to open our second board public comment section at 9:29 p.m. Seeing no one come forward, I'll close our second public comment section at 9:29 p.m. Dr. Forte, I believe we have need for executive. Is that correct?
Yes, we do.
We will not be taking any action after executive. Mr. Capello, would you mind moving us to executive?
Sure. I move to convene an executive session in accordance with Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act. The purpose of this closed session will be to discuss
Student and personnel matters.
student and personnel matters. Minutes of the session will be made available to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Capello. Mr. Kim, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Nope. Any abstentions? Nope. We are in executive session at 9:30 p.m.